Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my latest review of Hannibal, the show that is currently shattering my existence, piece by freaking piece. I just have to say, every week, I think that, I've peaked emotionally and that I'm just going to, it's going to be a downhill slide. I'm just going to embrace the insanity and just let it wash over me and go with it. And, my brother was watching the show with me, okay? And he kept looking at me, he's like, Emily, your face. And I'm like, why are you watching my face instead of the show? But apparently my face was so ridiculously entertaining in the context of me watching the show that he was like watching me half the time. Because I was slightly emotionally traumatized / horrified this episode. I don't even have the words, okay? Spoiler alert as we dive into the thick of things here, because I will bear all in this review and I'm pretty much gonna get right down to the meat of it. So, this episode was really the first time for me that I really started to despise Hannibal, okay? Because it's like being a fan of Dexter, you want to be in the position to be rooting on, the anti-hero of sorts. I mean, it's kind of hard to call Hannibal an anti-hero. He's not really much of a hero at all. If anything, he's sort of a very, very dark, Byronic hero, if you catch what I'm talking about. But, so we're drawn to him, we're compelled by him. He's very cool and suave and intelligent and so intriguing and attractive to us on so many levels. So, I can't say that I'm not one of those people who's just like, that Hannibal man, I'm all about it. This is crazy. Like, I am attracted to the way, I don't know how to say it without sounding creepy, but you guys understand there is a certain magnetic appeal to this kind of a character in ways in which we want to sympathize with him. And watching him in the scene where Will is completely breaking down, he's having a freaking seizure, I just wanted to smack Hannibal in the face. It's like, how dare you? This is on you, Because we see what Hannibal is trying to do. He wants to construct Will into a kind of person who is compatible to him as a friend, as a companion, as someone who can share the world with him and experience it with him as he does. And we see that in the final scene where Hannibal is talking with his therapist, and so it's like, just as soon as I almost hate him and I am just so fed up with his design with Will, he's putting Will's freaking life on the line. And it's sort of like, for those of you who watch Dexter, he's kind of like a Dark Harry. He's constructing this code and putting Will into this little box and trying to bend him and break him and reset him, kind of like, what Dr. Gideon is doing with these people that he's killed in the episode. But then we see this desperation in Hannibal, this earnest concern and desire for there to be some connection with Will, and the doctor, his therapist, calls him out on the fact, that he's more infatuated with the madness than the man, and that's where things get ambiguous, It's like, it genuinely seems like Hannibal wants to forge this connection with Will and really be one with him, but in the process, things are getting wildly out of control. I came up with this metaphor in my mind, and it's not exactly perfect, but I'm kind of jiving with it myself. So I kind of see Hannibal as like, he's the great circus master, and he has this favorite dancer. And he longs to bring that dancer to her full potential, or his full potential, I guess, genders, whatever works. And so he takes this exceptional dancer and puts her up in the sky to work the trapeze. And then this episode is the process of, you know, that circus master. He looks up and he sees his favorite dancer struggling on that tightrope, struggling so high off the ground that if anything goes slightly awry, they're dead and gone. And this beautiful masterpiece, this design, this extravagant show, whatever it may be, it's over. You know, that's kind of how I saw Hannibal in that last instant. You know, he's trying to make something that he perceives as beautiful, but it is so volatile in nature that he can't contain it. It is his desire to have this perfect way with Will, because Will is sensitive to the world in ways that remind Hannibal of himself, and in ways that most other people in the world aren't. And so it's the star-crossed love. I'm telling you, it is tragic on a Shakespearean level. Like, I'm still just trying to wrap my mind around the whole thing, but this show plays with my emotions like nobody's business. It is unfair on every level. It is at least unfair in approximately 27,000 countries of my universe. I don't know how many countries there are in the world because I'm not as smart as I could be, but I'm just gonna go with that. It's all kinds of unfair to me, and oh my goodness, what else? And visually, this show continues to astonish me and take me on a journey. I love how they'll begin a new scene, you know, starting up close and slowly panning out from such a strange place. Like when you know, we see the organs hanging from the tree, and it's kind of going from organ to organ to organ, and we're kind of like, okay, you know, we're sort of backing up, just waiting for the full picture to come into view. It's just it's so eccentric and eerie and haunting, and I love it. And all of the dream sequences for Will as well, and just his departures from reality, it is so unbelievably artistic. I mean, I would give an arm and a leg to work on that set, okay? And just as long as those don't go into one of Hannibal's culinary masterpieces, I'd prefer to keep my arm and my leg. It's a metaphor, Hannibal. Cool yourself. Yeah, it is just so crazy fascinating to watch. You know, and there's the scene when we start off like seeing the blood pooling and just kind of mess with us, you know. Sometimes when I watch Hannibal, I kind of, especially when I'm with other people, I kind of like try and crack jokes as I go, just to sort of give some sort of sense of lightness in the midst of such overwhelming dark. And every time, you know, we see Will laying in his bed and like the water is seeping up all around him and it's bursting through the walls, and, you know, come Armageddon over here. And I look over and I'm just like, Will, did you forget to go to the bathroom before you went to bed? Because, like, seriously, there was some part of me that just thought that, like, he was gonna wake up and just be in, like, a puddle of piss and just be like, oh. That was not my design, okay. But, yeah, so this episode kind of made me have to pee. And I also had to put down my snacks during the scene where, you know, Dr. Gideon is kind of having, he's going ham, you know, doing his thing. I was like, I kept eating and watching and eating and watching, and I was like, it'll get easier, it'll get easier. And I was just like, what the hell? Not okay. You know, I watch The Walking Dead, so it's like, you know, you see the zombies ripping out the guts and stuff, but it's like, it's so different when the person is, well, not in their right mind, but at least still technically animate and alive and with some semblance of conscience. Yeah, so, and the writing is just extremely rich and well done as always. Everything that Hannibal does is a part of his master plan and design for Will. You know, the whole like, oh, you have a fever, oh my darling, stay here, no, I must go get Alana, after he, you know, sends Dr. Gideon over there to go kill her and figure out who he is, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go rescue her, you stay here, you know, leaves the gun and his keys on the table, like, no, Will, you stay, bye-bye, and then he comes right back in, like, he gave him like 5 seconds. He knew. He completely baited him. I was just like, oh my god. Your best friend in the world just has a seizure, and you trick him into going off to kill some guy. And it's just, the worst part is that for Will, he is trying to kill off the side of him that scares him, that makes it feel like he is slipping into the oblivion. He is trying to kill off, you know, whom he sees as Garrett Jacob Hobbs, the figure that has been haunting him for so long, like the stag in his mind as well. And so he wants to, and Hannibal also plants that idea, you know, to finally kill Garrett Jacob Hobbs once more and get that finality and be able to move on. And for Hannibal, you know, he's hoping that that will open the door into a whole new world of experiences for his lover. Whereas for Will, you know, it's like, where is this going to stop? And as we can see in next week's previews, you know, things are far from settling down. I mean, every time I think that there's a climax being reached and we're gonna start working our way to the end game, it is just, the thrill is just higher and higher, and Will's being pushed and pushed, and I'm just so terrified for this show because I don't want the intrigue and the story and just every piece to be unsustainable. That is my greatest fear for the show, and so I really hope that pacing wise things will be able to progress well as we go into the second season, because I honestly can't foresee Will living past the second season. And yet he's become such an integral part of the show. I mean, the show is called Hannibal, but so much of the story has been from Will's perspective, you know, so I'm just trying to envision, you know, what it would be like if Will inevitably leaves the scene, because I just can't see how he's going to stay around any longer. He's going to end up in prison, he's going to end up dead. It's, you know, I've heard Brian Fuller say, you know, the first season is the romance between Will and Hannibal, and the second season is the bad breakup. So it's like, I just can't see him surviving the breakup, you know? I just, how? Tell me, because I'm just not seeing it here, knowing who exactly we're dealing with. But yeah, I broke so much for Will, because it's like, oh god, it's too perfect and it's horrendous, and I seriously, every time I try and like make a sentence, it's just ... So I apologize for my grammatical hold here as I'm just trying to explain where my soul is. You know, the show continues to blur the lines further and further. Who is right, who is wrong? Everyone is implicated, everyone is manipulating, everyone is manipulating everyone. I mean, I think I seriously tweeted that at some point, you know, like when Alana Bloom is talking with the other doctor who had convinced Gideon that he was the Chesapeake Ripper, and, you know, they're like, you manipulate them, well, he manipulated you, and, you know, it was just like this whole, like, like, everyone is manipulating everyone, let's just settle it now, we all suck, and we all want something from someone else, and it's just not gonna work the way that we desire, and, in fact, we are destroying everyone. So And, you know, we see that Jack is resiliently, you know, he's trying to help Will be buoyant, and he's like, you just gotta keep it together, man. And, you know, and Will's just like, yeah, about that. How about nope? And he just goes. And, you know, Hannibal has such power, and yet at the same time he is beginning to see that he's powerless. And, you know, to see how he's going to react in the midst of that reality as things progress is gonna be scary. I'm just saying, you know, especially seeing the aggressive confrontation between Will and Abigail as well, because Hannibal seems to be very attached to Abigail, and he kind of, you know, he's situated himself and Will as a sort of joint fathers over her. And so I'm just trying to figure out, you know, how exactly does he intend to keep this family under one roof, so to speak, okay? And I feel so much for him, because we see. And again, and for me, I come at the character of Hannibal and the developments that he has in this episode as indicating that he's really not a cut and dry psychopath. I think he has a lot of psychopathic traits. But at the same time, you know, why is he so desperate for Will's companionship? You know, what is it that it is driving him to take this being and try to mold him in his image, and to dig deeper and try to find more of himself at the same time, something that's already there and that is innately shared between them, and bring that into fruition? It just boggles my mind. And so as soon as I want to loathe him and kick him in the face, Mads Mikkelsen is just breaking my soul. Like, it looked like he was so glassy-eyed in that last scene with the therapist, yet it's so hard to tell exactly how genuine he's being in those scenarios, you know, because it's like, if you're visiting a therapist, like, you know, they're looking at you a certain way, and Hannibal knows how to conduct himself in such a way as to fool others, so it's just like, it is so difficult. I don't even know what else to say other than Godspeed, Will. I'll come visit you in the hospital, and I'll tell you what your disease is so you can get treatment, and then I'll probably get eaten, but I honestly feel really bad for you. Okay, so I had this freakishly girlish moment when Alana and Will are in his classroom, and Alana knows, you know, that she's going to be contacted and questioned in the process of the whole, you know, Gideon on the loose ordeal. And like, and she was, you know, talking about getting like protective order or whatever, and Will's like, you don't need a protective order to come cozy up to my dogs, or me either. And I was like, Will, I would cuddle you and your dogs, okay? It'll be fine. Just don't do, no. Yeah, but I just like seriously died for a moment, because I'm just like, you are such a puppy. You are a puppy who collects puppies. And oh my gosh, everyone is like everyone's puppy in the show. It's just, can't fathom it. Can't deal, won't deal. So let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Where do you think things are going to go exactly? I am like randomly tearing up for no good reason. I am just like, I think it's Will's like waterworks leaking through the universe is starting to come through my eyes or something. And I actually, well, I hate this so much. Hugh Dancy did a fantastic job having a seizure, I'm just saying. You know who else is good at having seizures is Yvonne Strahovski, who played Hannah McKay in season 7 of Dexter, and she has a seizure. I won't tell you the context, spoilers and whatnot, but you know, there's some actors out there that are pretty good at having seizures. Just want to put them like all in a room and just watch them, like tell everyone, do a fake seizure right now, go, and just watch them on seizure. What am I saying? It's like 11:37, and I'm losing my mind here. So, and what do you guys think of Gideon as a villain figure, you know? And of course, we're seeing progressively, you know, Will is beginning to hyper empathize with all the killers that he's surrounded with, to the point that he's losing himself and Gideon is losing himself, and you know, they're both kind of like the, you know, the puppets, marionettes of these, you know, these greater hands and forces that are behind them, and it's just like, and Gideon, you know, being visualized by Will as Hobbs, you know, he embodies what Will has done that has changed himself. You know, it's hard to explain. And that's just a testament to how rich and complex this show is. And there's so much more I can say, but I don't want to make this too ridiculously long. So leave all of your thoughts and comments below. We will hash it all out. And I think we've got 2 more episodes before the season's done. And I just might do some Hannibal news vlogs in the future. Who knows? I have a new Dexter vlog up as well. I'm doing 2 crazy long videos in one day. It's been absolutely nuts, and probably why I'm so emotional and breaking down all over the place. So I'm going to eat some chocolate and hang out with my man Doc Ock. My sister got this for me for no apparent reason other than that, you know, why not? So that's what I'm gonna do as I try and feel better about life. So let me know what you guys thought, and I will talk some serious Hannibal with you guys in the days to come. Take care, and thank you so much for watching and being as stunning as you are. Have a fantastic night.